Jason. I'm one of the hosts this evening. My co-host,
Marco.
We are here for the Revvies. The inaugural first ever Revvies, and they're going to be annual.
So here we are right at the beginning.
Here we are right at the beginning. This is ground zero, folks.
So Jason, what are the Revvies?
The Revvies are an awards show that incorporate movies, television, documentaries, docuseries. And what I did was I didn't want just all these award shows. You know, they're the elites. You know, you've got the all these different elite groups that are voting for them, and then there's like the People Choice Awards. But man, most of the time their awards. So what I did was I went out to the people I knew on social medias and the diverse group of people I know, and I said, "Do you want to vote for the Revvies?" And I got back a very great response, and so people got the nominations and they responded. And what the criteria for the Revvies is that they had to be released between January 2020 and December 2020.
So a proper calendar year.
A proper calendar year. So at some point in time during that year, these were released. So then, all the votes came back in. They all got tallied. I personally did not vote for anything, and
neither did I.
We didn't want to taint the voting process.
The integrity of the Revvies is very important.
Very important. So we didn't want to taint any of these awards. So we didn't vote, and I was the only person that knew who they were ahead of time.
Okay.
I was the only one. Me, and then our accountants.
Who will be introduced later on.
Who will be introduced later on, yes. And speaking of introductions, I've got to introduce the rest of our crew.
Absolutely.
Our director, producer, sound editor,
wardrobe consultant.
Yeah. What didn't she do? I'd like everybody to give a nice round of applause for Shanda. Without Shanda, we wouldn't have been able to get this done.
She's running the board right now.
She is. She's back in the truck. Hi, Shanda!
We can't hear her because she's in the truck.
We can't, no. So,
I think it's very interesting the first year of the Revvies being 2020. Yes. I mean, hey, what else was going on in 2020 that might have affected how people consume their entertainment?
There might have been a little pandemic.
I think there was a lot of us at home.
I think so.
I don't know who was going to movie theaters.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But I think it's very interesting. I think there was a lot of us consuming entertainment at home in a way we hadn't really done before.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of shows that became universal that may not have done so before. I mean...
What examples of shows would that be?
How many people would have watched Tiger King once upon a time?
That is a good question.
And now that's something that suddenly became a cultural phenomenon.
It became huge. Everybody knows who Joe Exotic is.
There you
Carol
go.
Baskin.
There you go. And then some TV shows like The Crown that I think may have reached out, The Crown, Queen's Gambit, that may have reached a much broader audience.
That's right.
Than maybe it would have had once before.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people maybe got exposed to entertainment that once upon a time they may not have had the time to enjoy.
And such things as Cobra Kai, which used to be a YouTube Red series. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows what YouTube Red is. Nobody had YouTube Red. Then Netflix gets it and puts out the first 2 seasons. It becomes this huge smash.
So something that might have been, hey, this is going to be fun for that key demographic of people who grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, again, a much broader audience.
Huge. People are introducing it to their kids because it's easily accessible via Netflix.
And then even the types of streaming. I mean, one of the big ones that dropped at the end of 2019, leading into 2020, was
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, a big one, and as well one of their big shows that they released that kind of really almost jump-started things.
The
Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
So a big launch for that streaming service for Disney, a company that going into 2020 was going to be losing theme park revenue, cruise revenues.
Movies didn't come out in the theaters, so they didn't get that billion-dollar blockbusters.
So all of a sudden, though, they've got a show that comes out weekly. So we are all happily paying our so many dollars a month for it.
And then they just kept putting out stuff to keep you wanting to go back.
Stay tuned for next year's Revvies when we talk about WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier,
and probably more of the Star Wars television series.
Mm-hmm. So, and then one other thing I wanted to mention was I think it's important that we're going to start recognizing a lot more of the diversity that's out there with the entertainment we consume. I mean, these are people that have always been there in these industries, but I think it's excellent that we're starting to recognize them more.
Yeah, and with all the different avenues for us to watch content.
Mm-hmm. It's no longer just the giant studio system anymore that had a very limited number of players.
The spotlight is going to be shone on people like Amazon Prime's Rami.
Mm-hmm.
Or Revvie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a show about an Egyptian millennial who doesn't really, he's a slacker. He's an Egyptian millennial slacker, but it's a great show and it's hilarious.
So very much looking forward to the type of entertainment we're going to be able to talk about tonight, and the awards we'll be handing out as well.
Yes. So stay tuned, tune in, and remember we have 2 more parts. They're going to start right now.